like, what are some of the reasons that somebody would come to you to start with? And then can you kind of lay out the process of what you do then with somebody
I mean,
comes to
in
you
a session?
in a session? Yeah. Like,
Oh, okay. Well, some of that depends on why they're coming. And what I do ask people to do, which, you know, I'm showing my age now, but in the old days, everything was, by telephone, and then it went to fax and then email, and now we have automated things on our websites for people to schedule. Anyway, even when somebody schedules a session, they're asked on one of the lines on my website to just give a little brief summary about what kind of session they want. So I have the heads up. Is there a behavioral problem with an animal? Is their animal ill? Is their animal in hospice nearing death? Has their animal already died and they want to connect with them? Or, other thing, is it food issues, or they're going on vacation, or they're moving house, or whatever. And so then they're invited to send me their specific questions, or invited to send pictures of the animals, which I don't need to do a session, but it saves time when we're talking. And so as an animal communicator in a professional role, which is a little different, but has a lot of similarities to when we talk to our own animals. But in my role, it's very important to me that I have clarity about what my client wants. Because this goes to an ethical issue about animal communication. The old way of doing psychic work is it's not like having an interactive conversation. The old way of doing psychic work, if an animal's involved, is to read the energy of the animal, interpret it, and then give that interpretation to the client. I do not recommend that at all. In this work, it's so important when we're helping another person, an animal, to be the translator between the two of them and be very clear what the human wants to ask and tell the animal, what the animal wants to ask and tell the person, and to be as accurate as possible. If this were psychotherapy and couples counseling, it would be the same role. Except here we're doing translating, and of course I try to support also.
So you're the translator, is you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
For the human and for the animal, and
right.
back and
like
forth.
The mediator.
And of course, at times, as a therapist would, though this is not therapy, but a similar dynamic is sometimes, first of all, asking questions for clarity. So I'm really sure what, like, for instance, if the animal is ill and the person has said to me at the beginning of the session, or what they sent ahead of time, I really want to know if they're ready to leave, or if they're nearing ready to leave. And if so, I want to know their preferences about euthanasia or not having euthanasia, those kinds of very common, important issues that come up. And so let's say I start talking to the animal, and I say, I always briefly introduce myself, very briefly, and say, your person, or your mother, if that's what they call themselves, or daddy, or whatever, asked me to be here to help the two of you have a conversation. That's the key opening. And I'll say, she's very concerned about how you're feeling. So could you describe that to me? And if the animal says to me, I'm so tired, I'm just so tired. And if that's all they say, my job as the communicator is to find out more, because tired could mean I'm ready to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other end, it could mean I'm ready to leave. So that's so then I go back and say, well, tell me more about what your being tired is all about. Do you feel tired, like you need a nap? Or do you feel tired in a deeper way? And then I listen for what the animal says. And sometimes they'll say, oh, I'm more tired than I used to be. Or they might say, I'm so tired down to my soul, I don't think I can stay in my body much longer. So this might sound very mundane, but it's a key ethic in doing this work, whether it's for a client or our own animals, is to ask those, what I call them, empathic inquiries. It's not grilling the animal, of course, but it's just asking more so we can find out how they're really feeling and go from here. So that's just one example.